blessing to be with you today. Let's stand to our feet. Let's praise. Come on. Sometimes you gotta dance through the darkness, sing through the fire, praise when it don't make sense. Sometimes you gotta stand down the giant, worship from the lion's den. Sometimes you gotta shout from the mountain, louder in the valley,
there is no one like our God. There's none more worthy, none more holy. That's why we bring him our worship this morning. Let's sing together.
I could seal the promise. Your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Sing that out like you believe. The body that sealed the promise, your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Oh, Jesus is yours, is the victory. Thank you guys so much for worshiping with us this afternoon. You can go ahead and have a seat.
Well, good morning, Springs. You guys are looking good. You're sounding good. How are we doing? That good, huh? If you're joining us online, a special welcome to you. My name is Matt, and I have the privilege of serving on our staff team. And I want to draw your attention to just a couple of things. On your chairs, as you guys came in, you should have found this Connect card. This is what we call the Connect card. It is really, the point to this is simple. We want to get to know you. We want to meet you. We believe here at the Springs very passionately that every single one of you, every single person matters to God. And because we believe that, we want to make sure everyone who comes through our doors gets connected with Him and with the church. And by filling this out, you let us know how we can best serve you guys and help you take what we call your best next steps here at the Springs and in your faith journey. And speaking of those next steps, I want to introduce you to Enrique and Christine Gago. Not too long ago, they were here at the Springs, probably a lot like some of you, just coming on the weekends, not really involved, just kind of flying under the radar, but they made the bold choice to take next steps here at the Springs. Take a look. Hopefully.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Enrique Gago. I actually came to the Springs a couple years ago. One day she said if I can come, and I said of course.
There was a service that Pastor Ron was giving about how we should do more with the church and do more than just attend on a Sunday, and that spoke to me.
They asked us if we wanted to do the welcome team, which is the first impressions outside. And, we said yes. We didn't hesitate. And it's been such a great time doing that, just meeting first-time comers and walking them and showing them around. We definitely started to serve more. We definitely started to give more. And I feel that because of those things, not trying to expect anything back, it was more of trusting in God to do what He needs to do with those resources. Putting God first in everything we did, it just helped us. And it's not easy. You have to work on it every day.
Having, somebody like me or Enrique walking you up and introducing you and showing you around, and what gets me excited is seeing them come back. That makes me want to continue to participate, makes me want to continue to give, makes me want to continue to show up every Sunday and stand in the front lines.
Sometimes we don't see how blessed we are. And seeing the growth here, you know that God is doing wonders and you know God is working. It's been an amazing experience, and I think that, you know, God has a lot of good things in store for all of us. Just got to give it a shot.
You're gonna wanna come back every single week. And when you do, you'll see myself, you'll see Enrique, and we'll be there to welcome you and we'll help you find your seat.
Enrique and Christine are thriving, and they are key leaders as part of our First Impressions, our welcome team. And every single week they greet and serve hundreds of people as they come in. If you've been at the Springs for really any length of time, you've probably actually run into them. They probably greeted you or sat you in the auditorium. And we want to invite you to take next steps just like they did. And maybe your next step is baptism, or maybe it's getting involved in serving. Whatever it is, this is your ticket right here. So fill this card out, especially if you're new, and then you can leave the card in your seat. Before you leave, we'll gather those up and we will be in touch with you this week. Or here's an even better idea. Out in the lobby, each week we have an area that we call the deck. And out at the deck between services, we have pastors and staff out there, and we just want to meet you. We're out there to make ourselves available to you. Why don't you bring this card filled out to us and hand it to us in person? We would love to put faces to names, and we can't wait to meet you out there. And by the way, if you are new and you want to get more involved, you want to learn more about the Springs, there really is no better opportunity than what's happening next Sunday from 4 to 6. We're having what we call Connect, and that's a time where you'll hear from our leadership, our staff and pastors. You'll hear about our core values, the things that drive everything we do here. You'll hear about our history, where we are today as a church, and where we feel God is leading us in the future. Now, we only do it about once a month, so if you haven't done this yet, don't let another month go by. Sign up. You can write Connect on the Connect card, and we will be in touch with you this week to answer any questions you may have or to get you signed up for Connect. Well, we love worshiping with all you guys, and we're going to continue doing that together, but with our time of giving. And just remember what Enrique and Christine said. Not only did they find some purpose in serving with our First Impressions team, but they also chose to begin giving consistently and faithfully back to God the resources He had blessed them with. And when we give, it is just as much an act of worship as singing songs together, as sitting and receiving a message from a pastor together, just as much an act of worship. And it's a powerful act of faith that does a couple of things. The first is it tells God that we trust Him in all aspects of our life, especially our finances. God was so generous with us, with His Son Jesus, and our generosity is a natural yet deliberate response to that goodness. It reminds us and affirms that we acknowledge that He is in control, that He is faithful, and that He's going to provide for our families. The second thing that it does is it fuels real life change. And that's not hyperbole. We see it every single day. Your generosity and God's grace powers the ministries of the Springs that change the lives of those in our communities forever. Springs, do not let this pass you by. Don't miss out on what God is doing through the Springs. Be a part of it. Be a part of it. Take that next step. And that next step is you can give online at thesprings.net/giving. You can scan this QR code on the screen behind me. Or if you prefer and are prepared to give in person today, you can absolutely do that. We have giving boxes by the doors, so you can drop your tithes and offerings in those boxes before you leave. All right? Well, we have been in a series called Spent. We've been looking at how important it is to create sustainable margin in every aspect of our lives. And Pastor Ryan Parquette is here with us, and he's going to continue that here in just a few moments. But again, Springs, welcome. We are so glad to worship with you, and we're so glad that you're here.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Ryan. I'm so glad that you're joining us here. I get to be on staff at this church, and I got to tell you, I love it here. Our staff team is amazing. The amount of work and effort that they put in every single week to share the gospel, to present Jesus, and to serve him faithfully, it's incredible. And so we, working together, we all grow really close. And if you know, like as you grow close with people, you grow in freedom and permission, and sometimes you go a little bit too far. And one of the things that I just love is a good office prank, right? That's like one of my love languages are pranks. And so our team is very close, and we decided to pull a little prank. And we actually pranked Matt Stanley. He was just here doing the welcome. So if you can tell, like Matt is a well-meaning guy. He's a good dude. He is logical. He's thoughtful. All of the great recipes for a prank. And so he did something that we didn't approve of, which is he went on vacation. And so like the timing's right? So we're like, all right, he's gone for a week. And so Ryan, our production director, he had an awesome idea, and it was this little thing right here. Now, you probably can't see this, and to be honest, if you could, you wouldn't know what it was. I don't even know what it was, and it's in my hands, right? All I know, though, is that it makes a really annoying sound, and just so you can hear it yourselves, here's a video of what this sounds like. That's pretty terrible, all right? Now, the idea behind this device was, what if we got 5 of them and then we just hid them in his office, right? Because if you notice, at first it starts off as kind of like an annoying alarm, but then it becomes a cricket. And so what if we just put a bunch of them in his office and it sounds like his office is full of crickets? It's a genius idea. And so while Matt was away, we hid all of these things in his office. There was like one we put in the blinds that he wouldn't be able to see. We put another one behind his desk. That one, in my opinion, was the easiest one to find. And then my favorite of all time, though, was the one that we hid in the wall electrical socket. Yeah, that one's just cruel, right? And so these things are throughout the whole office, and they're just chirping. And chirping, and you know, Matt gets into this, and he is just hearing all of this noise, and everybody's like, wow, that is so crazy, right? The whole staff is like, it's crazy that it's only happening to you. It's only in your office that all these crickets are going crazy. And so he's a smart guy, and he starts to kind of catch on a little bit, and he's like, they sound fake, and so he actually was going to look for the one behind his desk. But before he did, Thomas Pesto came in clutch, and he hit a dead cricket down there on the floor. So he sees the dead cricket, and he thinks, okay, this is real. I have a real problem here right now. And so he threw him off our trail. And this happened for 4 days. And by the 4th day, he was losing his mind, right? Just all day cricket sounds from everywhere. So he starts just unraveling more and more. And by Thursday, he can't even come in. He's like, I'm not coming in. I'm going to work from Starbucks. I cannot handle it. He's calling up the facilities teams. We're working on getting like exterminators out. This is serious. And he is he is done. He is losing his mind. And it got to a point where it was almost the point of no return, right? Because he's just so frustrated with why is this happening to me? And Christine Neiman, who has a heart of gold on our staff team, she was the one who was like, all right, guys, he's losing his mind. So maybe we should tell him. And it was like, okay, 4 days is a long time to gaslight this dude, right? So we did. And, you know, we all laughed and laughed about this, and, you know, it's all good. And the reason I talk about that is because, like, we got so close to burning that bridge. Like, Matt was ready to be done. He was just exasperated with everything that was going on, that he was ready to be like, I'm not ever coming back in this building. And then a lot of times when we grow in familiarity with people and relationships and things like that, we get to a point when conflict interrupts where we will actually go too far and we will burn the relationship. right? We know what it's like to have the bridge burned. Maybe you burned it. You didn't like the way that someone treated you, and so this is your way of saying, this will not happen again. This bridge is gone. Or maybe you said something to someone else, and they burned the bridge. You can't take words back. Once they're out, they're gone. And so you recognize that had consequences, and yet this relationship is just different now. Or maybe you've just drifted away. You've drifted away from people continuously until one day you realize, I don't know how many people I have around me. Relationships are tricky, and we can get to a point where we feel spent, like we feel that we have nothing left to give, or we don't have anything to offer, and so we get spent and drained. And it's so sad, because one of the most important things about you, it's actually the second most important thing about you, is your relationships. Like Jesus, when he's talking about what it means to live rightly, this is what he says. He says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. That means love God more than anything. That's the most important thing, is that you dedicate your entire everything to God. And then he says, this is the first and greatest commandment. This is the most important thing. And the second most important thing is like it, so it's important. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. And then he says, all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. All of the truth in Scripture comes down to these two things. You are meant to love God, and you are meant to love people. Every single human being on this earth was wired for this. And yet you know that sin interrupts both. Right? Sin creates separation between us and God. Barriers between being loved by the creator of the universe. Either we hide in shame or we abandon him because we believe that we are better. And in that disruption comes the disruption of our relationship. Sin enters in, and we are not able to love each other as we should. And so we find ourselves naturally drifting away from people as sin increases in our lives. In other words, the natural patterns of your life will not be for you to go towards people. It'll actually be a slow drift away from them, away from being connected, away from being seen. It'll just be away from people. And I got to tell you, as a culture, we are crushing that goal, by the way. Like, I think about going to Walmart with my dad as a kid, and Saturdays at Walmart, like that was every 2 weeks, it was an endeavor, right? Because my dad had a battle plan, okay? Like, we were not going to Walmart just for the sake of going. No, we had to get in and get out and get our groceries and not be interrupted, because we do not want to waste time. And so we would go park in the garden center. We would walk through there because we knew we could get better parking and it would be faster. We'd comb the outside aisles. We had a strategy and a plan, and we were not going to have any casualties, right? If the bread aisle looked full, we're not getting bread this week. And we would even get to the cashiers, and we would start judging them, like, okay, which one is slow, which one's fast? Let's go to that one, aisle eight, right? All of that just because we wanted to get our things and get out and not interact with people. In this day and age, man, you don't even have to go to a cashier. You can just self-checkout. You don't have to go to a person. In fact, you don't even have to go into the store. You can park outside of the store, and someone will come out and they will put your groceries in your car, and then you leave. Or another layer is you could stay at home in your pajamas. You can grocery shop, and it'll show up on your front door. But you want a restaurant experience, but you don't want to go to the restaurant because you don't want to deal with the waits, you don't want to deal with the people and all of that. Just order DoorDash. It'll show up at your door. And you don't even have to talk to the dasher, right? They'll take a picture of your food on the door. I got caught doing that once, like getting the food before the picture was taken. It's just a blurry picture of me running away. It looks like Sasquatch, right? Like, we don't want that interaction. We want that awkwardness. But we keep removing people. Facebook, Instagram, we're connected with people, and yet we're not. We're talking over them. not with them. We have apps like Neighborly where all of our neighbors are supposed to be talking together so you get to know one another. I don't know a single person on that app, but they're apparently my neighbors. Like, we are so connected. We are more connected than ever before, and yet we are terrible at relationships. You see, psychology, it tells us the power of relationships, and according to the Harvard Adult Study of Adult Development, the largest predictor of your life and your life satisfaction later on will actually be the strength of your core relationships. It's not your IQ. It's not how much you make. It's not how well you're known, your fame, your Instagram likes. It is the people who are closest to you. In fact, social isolation has a profound effect on us physically. When we feel isolated, it has the same effects on your physical body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Social isolation will drastically increase anxiety and depression and lower the ability for us to go through difficult things. So we need people. And I want to draw your attention specifically to one really troubling number. In 1990, since 1990, the amount of men who have said that they have no friends, not 1 to 0 friends, has increased fivefold. Fivefold. And then another number came out that's troubling, that 2 years ago in 2023, the US Surgeon General announced a health crisis. In the health crisis, they announced that over 50% of the adult population experiences regular, measured loneliness. 50%. Look around this room. 50% of us have felt this. We need each other. We need each other. I mean, that's why Jesus is the great example of what we need. In fact, in his very life, he tells us, he's talking to his disciples, he's saying, I'm getting ready to leave, but these are the important things that you need to know. And he says, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. All right, so love each other by my example, by how I loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lays down his life for his friends. He's saying, love each other based on my example, and you will know this, that there's no greater love than how I'm going to lay my life down for you. But he doesn't just say you, he says friends. So that is Jesus saying, you are my friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends. So Jesus literally is saying, I am calling you friend. And we have an opportunity in a life with Jesus to be a friend of God. That's the designation that he gives us. We are welcome in, and we are invited to be with God, to be loved by God, to be known by God, and to be called friend of God. And so Jesus is the example of what a good friend is and what a good friend does. And so how do we compare his example when we feel spent? When we feel burnt, we feel tired, like we don't have nothing left for our friends. We have nothing left for friends. Well, when we get to that place, there are 3 things I think that we can learn from Jesus. The first thing is this: independence is overrated. Independence is overrated. Anybody who, any college student will know this. Anytime anyone who's left their home that first night that your head hits the pillow and you start to realize, as anxiety sets in, what am I going to eat tomorrow? Right? Mom and dad aren't here anymore. I'm on my own. Independence is overrated, and truthfully, I think we know this. Because you know, in your 20s, that's the easiest it's going to be for you to grow in friendships. Like that's literally, like psychologically, that time frame is when it will be at its easiest. It'll be the easiest for you to have new friends, to grow in your friendships. Because by the time that you hit 30, you hit a wall. Careers get serious. People start having kids. Life gets serious. You start measuring your days by what you can do and accomplish. And your friendships go by the wayside. And so life then just becomes a grind of everything that I got to get done today, everything that I got to get done tomorrow, everything that I got to get done this week. And we just start grinding that out. And our friendships just go away. And we start to get into this mindset of I'm independent, I just got to do my thing. Like I love this show called Alone. How many of you guys have seen the show Alone? It's like a Survivor show. It's a great show, all right? So the thing is, I grew up in Colorado, and I always used to think like, man, I could survive a long time by myself. And so this is the show for me because that's a whole thing. It's a social experiment where they take 12 people and they isolate them. They literally go out into the wilderness of Alaska or Canada, and all they get is a camera, and they just survive. And the person that survives the longest wins the show. And I love the thought of that, but it also, watching it, I realized how little how short of a time I would make it, right? Because these guys are trained professionals and like they're dropping like flies. You're watching them just unravel as they're talking to a camera on a stick. Like the average person or the longest someone has gone was 100 days, which is impressive, but it's 100 days. The average person, about like 70% of them drop off by like the 38th day. And that's crazy, right? Because they just unravel. You watch them as their traumas surface. You watch them as they need people around them. You watch them as they miss their families and they just are out there just suffering. And we do the same, right? We go into this isolation where we just get focused on survival, but instead of having a camera that we talk to, we just do it alone. We just do it behind closed doors. We put up a front and we just try to focus on us. You know, Jesus, as his example, he starts his ministry. He actually just comes out of the wilderness. And when he comes out of the wilderness, he does this. He says, while he was walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother. And he's casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And immediately they left their nets and they followed him. So he sees them, he calls these guys, hey, come follow me. They leave the nets. And then again, and going on from there, he saw two brothers, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in a boat with Zebedee, their father. They're mending their nets, and he calls them. And immediately they left their boats and their father, and they followed him. And what I think is just so interesting about this is we love this moment of the idea of being called by Jesus. Hey, come follow me. Yes, I'll drop it. I'll leave everything. I'll come follow you, Jesus. And we love to see ourselves in that picture and to imagine, man, what would it be like to follow Jesus? And then there's another perspective in there from Jesus. You see, thinking about it, Jesus is stepping out of isolation and he is asking others to come be with him. Now, God does not need other people. Like Jesus does not need other people around him. In fact, when he calls those disciples, like Peter, for example, like Peter will not understand ever what Jesus is doing until he is crucified and resurrected. He gets close and then he whiffs the ball. Right? And in the most troubling part of Jesus' life, Peter denies even knowing him. And so Jesus knows that these guys, they're risky. And he knows that Peter will deny him one day. And yet, he calls them. So he doesn't need them. And he knows that they're not really going to offer anything other than a headache. And yet, he calls them. And it's not just to be his followers. Remember what he called them earlier, his friends. See, Jesus sets an example. He doesn't live in isolation. He could and be completely okay, but he doesn't. He calls people around them, and for what purpose? Because they, again, don't offer him anything that he doesn't have. What he gets from them, like, he doesn't need it. He has a perfect community with God the Father and the Holy Spirit. He has relationships. He is good. He calls them to himself so that he can give himself. It's not about what he receives, it's about what he gives. He calls them to himself because he loves them and he wants to give them himself. And so many of us, we go into isolation because we have this belief that I'm not going to get anything from this relationship. I'm not going to get anything. I might get hurt. I might get trouble. And so I'm just going to avoid all of that mess. I'm not going to work on that at all. But when we see Jesus, what we learn is that the fundamental part of being a good friend is just to love people just because. We are called to love people simply because we are called to love them. And Jesus doesn't do life alone, so why do you think that you can? Now, you might be feeling like, okay, but I do. I talk to people all the time. I'm constantly giving myself away to people, right? Well, that's where we get another thing from Jesus. It's this, that boundaries are required. We all have limits. Every single one of us has a limit. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus, after he starts his ministry, he is starting this at Peter's mother-in-law's house. And so he's healed Peter's mother-in-law, and now he's doing all these healings. He's casting out demons, he's preaching, he is talking to people, he is spending time with them, he is walking with them, and it gets crazy, right? This house is packed. It says literally that the whole town was here at this house. And so if we were to look out from the outside in and see that, we would be like, this is revival. Like, we should stay there because this is a great thing that is happening here. And this is what Jesus does. After being up all night doing these things and rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and he went out into a desolate place, and there he prayed. So all night he's doing these good things, and yet he still wakes up early and he goes off into isolation. He becomes unavailable, and he prays to God. And it's crazy because, again, it's a good thing, and yet he stopped. And Simon and those who were with him, they were searching for him, right? They can't find him. He's not available. And then they finally find him. They found him, and they said to him, everyone is looking for you, right? Like, what you were doing was crazy. Everyone is looking for you. We have to go back. And he says to them, let us go to the next town so that I might preach there also. For that is why I came. And then he went through all of Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons. So in other words, Jesus gets up early, goes and prays to God, recharges his battery, is unavailable, and then when they find him and like, hey, let's go back, he's like, no, we're moving on. So he gets up early and he moves on. Like, the thought of being unavailable to some of us might be one of the most foreign things. Like, for me, I have a horrible anxiety when it comes to the thought of not responding to a text message, right? If I don't respond in 30 minutes, I'm like, I've failed this person, genuinely. And so I feel so troubled, right? Because they're worth me responding to. And I think part of that too is because when I text someone, I hope that they text me back right away. And then when they don't, you start to feel anxious. It's like I call it like the three little bubble syndrome, right? Like the three dots. You see the three dots come up, and then it disappears, and it comes up again, and disappears, and you're like, what are they saying? What are they thinking? The worst is when they don't respond, and then you just see the words red. What? Like, you feel it. And so I feel it. When I don't text someone back, I immediately put myself into a position where I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't respond to you right away, because I should be available all the time for people. Like, we do the same with social media, right? Think about Facebook and like Instagram. Back, years ago, like 10 years ago, you could work somewhere and you could become friends with them. and then you could leave that job. Maybe you would keep up with a couple of them, but you would not talk to them again. Now with Facebook, you add every single relationship of anyone you've ever met, and you keep it open forever, right? Like you are leaving the door of availability open. We just don't leave it behind. We have in our culture this mindset that I have always got to be available for people. And if we're not available for people, we feel guilty. We feel like we've done something wrong. And I know that's a crazy thing to think about, right? Like, it's so counterculture to who we are and what we do and what we're about. And yet, God, in his very nature, has no boundaries, has no limits. He's present everywhere. But in his humanity in Jesus Christ, he embraces limits. He models boundaries. He becomes unavailable. He's one person at one place from one time. And then he moves on. Maybe you need to find a place where you are unavailable, where you can just talk to God, to be in his presence, to be known and loved by him. And then maybe you need to move on. What do you need to walk away from? I have a feeling for most of us, God is asking us to leave certain things behind and we just won't. And I know that's difficult. And that's one of the most difficult lessons we learn from Jesus. But sometimes moving on is necessary. And that's where we get our final thing from Jesus. Accountability is necessary or is essential. Accountability is essential. Like if we want to have good friendships and good relationships, we need to understand that our actions have consequences. And Jesus lays this out. He says, my followers are going to look like this. And at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, this is what he says. He says, judge not that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure you use it, you will be measured back to you. So he's saying, if you judge somebody, you need to be careful because the way that you will be judged will be off of the same measurement in which you judge someone else. And then he says, why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but you do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is a log in your own eye? This is Jesus being funny, right? Because it's like us, like, hey, you've got a speck in your eye. And he's like, no, you have a log in your own. You should probably worry about that one before you ever talk about the speck. And that's what he says. He says, you hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. And then he says this weird statement, do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. So how is this connected? Jesus, towards the end there, he's saying, like, we will have this ability, this desire to do good. We will have this desire to see God honored. We will have this desire to see God known, to do the best for somebody else. And there will be people in our lives who will continually just take and take and take, and they'll trample it, and they'll show they have no value for the things that we find valuable. And so it's like you're throwing out your valuables to pigs, and they just trample them. And the crazy thing in there too is that it's not that they just trample them, but then they turn on you, and then they attack you. And so it's just this pattern of you giving yourself and giving yourself and giving yourself, and it's not going to result in any sort of change. And so what Jesus says here is you should remove yourself from that equation. Don't just keep giving them those things so that they can be trampled on. And I know that sounds difficult, but there are situations in which, like, the best thing that we can do is to remove ourselves from the equation. Like, the most loving thing that we can do is to step back and let their actions have accountability, and to step back and not be a part of this cycle of you getting hurt. And maybe that they might realize one day that the way that I've been acting will have consequences. See, accountability, it's not revenge. It's not a desire to just get yours. And boundaries, it's not like you're bitter or anything like that. No, like this is about removing yourself because this might be the most loving thing that you can do. It's a selfless action, understanding that I can't fix this person, and so God must. But there's another side that Jesus started with. Right? He talks about judgment and judging others. And here's the truth in it. We love to judge others, right? We love to point out the speck and ignore the log. Because that's easy, because it takes introspective. It takes me looking at myself to understand I have a log in my eye. And we need people in our lives that can call that out, that surround us and say, hey, you need to work on this. I love my home and hosting people, and we had our whole extended family over. And, you know, as a man, it was like, dude, I'm going to cook, I'm going to grill, it's going to be great. And so we had like the nieces and nephews over, we had everybody. It was exciting. And so the whole family's there, and it's cold outside, and I'm grilling chicken, and I made one mistake. Forgot to turn the hood on, so the alarm goes off. Fire alarm is just going through our house. And this fire alarm is just top of the line, apparently, because that thing was loud. Like, we could not hear each other. We're looking at each other, and it's just screeching, and we're just, like, everyone is upset. The kids are crying. Like, it is a bad situation. I think I may have ruined dinner, and it just keeps going, right? Like, it is just so loud that people start getting anxious. We opened all the doors and windows, and it's still going, and my father-in-law, he's a man of action, so he's like finding a stool and he's got like a broom. He's about to knock these alarms off the wall. And I'm like, oh no, right? And if I was to say to you today, I didn't like how that alarm made me feel. It ruined what I wanted to do. It ruined the dinner that I had planned. So I actually just removed all of them. There's not a single fire alarm in my house. Not one. You would think, are you nuts? Why? Because you understand that I may be able to remove them, but that's only putting me into a silent danger. Right? Like you understand that alarm is meant for my good. It's meant for me to know when something wrong is in my house. See, accountability is an alarm. It's not an attack. And yeah, we can remove the alarms, but will be quietly in danger. You need people in your life that speak truth, who love you, and you have to listen. And a lot of times that's painful. Like a lot of times that hurts. A lot of times it's like finding out you have a log in your eye. And yet, it's necessary. It's where we grow. Like the depth of your relationships, it will only go as deep as you allow truth into your soul. So we need people in our lives who see us, who know us, and who can speak truth to us when we go astray. They are the alarms that keep us headed on the right track. And Jesus Christ, when we look at him, is this, right? He is the example. When you look at his perfection and his ability to love and be loved, and you look at everything that he's ever done and who he is, like he is an alarm bell for humanity, right? He is an alarm saying, like there's something wrong. There's something wrong with me. There's a separation between me and God, and there's a separation between how I'm living my life. Like sin has interrupted, and I have a log in my eye. And here's the good news. By following Jesus, you too can walk out of that isolation into a relationship with God the Father, and you can grow once again with people. And if that's what you would like, you could do that right now. Let's pray together. Lord Jesus, I'm so thankful that you love me, that you called me friend before I even knew you. God, that you're an example of how you want us to live, to be fully loved and known, and to fully know others and love them in return. And God, I recognize how my sin has interrupted all of that, and I recognize that my sin has accountability and consequences. And God, I pray that I can make you the Lord and Savior of my life, as I recognize that you died in my place. Jesus, I want to follow you from now into forever. It's your holy and precious name that I pray. Amen. Listen, if you just prayed that prayer, first of all, I'm just so glad for you. Literally, I'm so excited because, again, that you have decided to step into a relationship with God. And because Jesus paved the way, you can now know life in the fullness. You can have relationships with a basis of being loved and being able to love others freely. And so we want to celebrate that moment. On your Connect card, there's a box that says, "Today I've committed my life to Christ." Man, we are so stoked for you. We want to celebrate, and we want to help you figure out whatever comes next and just walk alongside you in that. And then some of our prayer team is here at the front. If you need prayer, they would love to pray with you. They're here for you, to serve you in all of that. And then we are starting a brand new series starting next week. And it's on the last words of Jesus. And there's this whole idea, right, that the last words are your most important words. And so we're going to look at Jesus' most important words here together. So bring a friend. It's going to be incredible. Guys, this has been an amazing Sunday. We will see you next week. God bless.